On which island do you live, Mr. Franklin?
On the island of St. Martin, which is half Dutch and half French.
On which side do you live, the French?
On the Dutch side.
On the Dutch side.
Right.
Okay, praise the Lord. And do you see your island, the island of St. Martin, in any way? Do you see it as a city? Do you see that where you can do country living? Because as a Seventh-day Adventist, God has asked us to move into the country. Can you see yourself doing that on the island of St. Martin?
No. St. Martin, 37 square mile island, divided into two sides, the French side and the Dutch side, is basically a city. I guess due to its small size and the number of ethnic groups that living on the island, like 702 ethnic groups. We have people from all over the world living on St. Martin. And everything is built up. And the island, which was once an agricultural island, is no longer an agricultural island. It's now a tourism island.
Is there any place on the island where you can find, like, say, mountains and land where there is not houses and where the neighbors are not close?
You can find, there are a lot of mountains and hilltops, but people have utilized them for building luxury homes and what have you because of the view that you get. But in terms of considering country living according to the spirit of prophecy, totally impossible.
And since you mentioned the view, what about cost? Is it would it be cost effective? Is it expensive to even, if you could have done it, like beyond the hills where you have the view, is it cost effective? Is it expensive?
It is very expensive because, yeah, you got to create the road, then you got to cut the mountaintop or the hillside, and a lot of it's so steep, you got to get all those trucks there with all those materials and what have you. People who build their house in the hills are usually wealthy individuals. Because the cost, just to build a retainer wall alone can cost as much as the foundation or even more than the foundation sometimes. But if you look at the criteria that Sister White laid out for country living in terms of the space and the distance neighbors that should be from you, we can never, you can never do that in a small island like St. Martin. It is St. Martin, St. Kitts, Sabre, Statia, Anguilla, all those islands around us are very small. If you're talking about an island like Jamaica, is a possibility, but then that depends on how long, because over time development comes, and if you were once country, you could end up being a city, like St. Martin. There were times when St. Martin looked like it could be country living, but within a few years, with all the development and construction and what have you, it's impossible.
So what would you say, right, is the biggest drawback in country living on an island? Have you explored any other possibilities, like maybe another island, or what do you see as the biggest drawback?
After we watched several videos on country living, especially the webinar by Elder Bridges for living managers, and after watching your video on city on the islands, and following the criteria that Ellen White outlines, we decided that we should try to see where can we go. If we are supposed to move out the city, where can we go? If you look at all the surrounding islands, they're just as small as St. Martin, or some may even be smaller. So we can't consider those. We have to consider a big country or a big island, and even that with time what was once country eventually could become city, because with the development and the tourism of the tourism product, and all the islands now catering to tourism, one area that could be considered country could no longer be countries once the development take place. But there, for example, Guyana is a perfect place if you want to say, let's move to the country. Because of how Guyana is built and structured. Guyana is a huge country, some 93,000 square miles of land. They say this is about the size of Great Britain. But the way the island is occupied, everything is around the coastline. But in the center, maybe well around the coastline, but in the center, you got thousands and thousands and thousands of interior, and the fact that it's bordering Brazil and Suriname, you know, it has a lot of land. They cut timber. It produces some of the best lumber in the world, hardwood. We visited Guyana, and it has great potential for country living. Great potential. But, not saying but it's going to cost you some time, money, labor, effort, and everything. Because we went country living hunting, and there was an area that we liked, and we looked into it. And from where we were staying in Berbice, it took us like a whole day to get there. We actually had to overnight. On the way back, we had to overnight in a small town before we get back, and we got back the following day, like sunset in the evening. But it's a huge place, and it could serve for country living. The most of the land is government owned anyhow. So therefore, you can make a petition to acquire this land from the government that you can do what you want to do. Yeah. As a matter of fact, the Guyanese government is encouraging people to lease land for agricultural purposes.
Okay. And for Guyana, if you're coming from a different island, is there any citizenship or any restrictions?
No, that is the problem when it comes to islands. Every island has its restrictions in terms of immigration. You need a passport. To live there, you need to get some kind of residency. You just can't walk in and live. And therefore you have to apply. And I don't know the procedure for everything. Right. But I know if you're CARICOM, if you're coming from a CARICOM island, it's a lot more easier for you than if you were coming from a non-CARICOM island. Okay. People would like to move to the United States because the United States has a lot of land for country living, and we have a lot of folks we met that already moved to the country. The problem is that you just can't walk into another man's country just like that. You either have to have a visa, but you can't live there on a visa. You have to have a green card, or you have to have permanent residence, or you have to be a citizenship, and those things don't happen overnight. So that's a serious problem. We have I have a couple of friends who have purchased land in, I think it's in Peru, either Panama or Peru, I'm not sure which one. And they're going to set up outpost center. They're actually going to move in from St. Maarten and set up outpost centers in that country.
Amen.
Yeah, but I guess they're probably fluent in Spanish too.
Okay,
yeah.
Language.
Yeah.
Final thought that you would like to add to country living, especially when it pertains to an island? If we follow the council out to the cities, and we know what the consequences are for staying in the cities, if we decided to stay on any small island, the effects will be the same as in a big country, staying in the cities. So we need to get out. But the process of getting out, that's a difficult situation. Like I said,
You just can't move into another person's country just like that. And that is where the problem comes. And when you immigrate to another country too, you got to find out how you're going to make a living. You just can't walk into a country and just start to work like that either. You know, you got to get resident paper. It's a whole process. It could be difficult, but I guess we have to pray and ask God to open opportunity, open doors, to open windows, so that it could make the process easier. But as the prophet says, as God says, if you decided that's what you're going to do, you pray with the matter, and you make that move, I guess you have to step forward in faith, like Moses did, crossing the Red Sea, and, you know, move forward and see what the Lord does.